Sims Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught!
Denver! Unbelievable!
And welcome to the fourth down fiasco.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for all things football, including the European League of Football, which sadly enough had its last game this past weekend. But, it is exciting to say that we officially know who the best is for the European League of Football. As always, we ask that you rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's the best way for us to grow the show. And along with that, be sure to check out our sponsor, BetStamp. BetStamp has a collection of all the big sports bookies across the world. BetMGM, Bet365, Caesars, FanDuel, everything you can think of. Danny, do you know of any promos that are going on right now that people can partake in?
Bet365 is still doing bet $5, get $200. So
you heard that here, $5 and you get $200 of free money, basically. Who doesn't love free money? I love free money. But yes, with me are the rising stars of the podcast industry who also want you to check out BetStamp, which you can go to signupexpert.com/fiasco to do so. But yes, we have I didn't give y'all nicknames today. I'm so sorry. We have Danny Weber and Tanner Vinsky. Say hello to the people for me, boys.
Hey.
And yes, we are all rocking the same merchandise right now. That's right, we got merchandise these days. So with that, let's go ahead and dive into the ELF Championship, where the Rhein Fire absolutely dismantled Danny's team, the Vienna Vikings. Rip, brother. Would you like to start us off, Daniel?
2 fumbles and a weird safety changed the entire game. It was close, and then we scored, they scored, we fumbled, they scored, we fumbled, they scored.
Chaotic game, to say the least.
Very chaotic game.
Yeah, and your boy Ben didn't look quite like his normal self. Granted, he was getting some serious pressure thrown his way, but yeah,
First drive he looked great. We went right down the field.
Only 214 yards. It's very unlike him. Granted, what is that? How do you pronounce your running back's name? Because he went off.
Kari. It's just Kari.
Kari. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. But yeah, Kari did a great job. 14 carries, 163 yards. Actually outrushed MVP of the ELF, Glenn Tunga, who had 23 attempts, 91 yards. Still had 2 tuds, though.
However, Kari had 2 fumbles.
This is so because you got to watch it live, I had to watch the little ESPN ticker updates the whole time.
No, yeah. So Kari had 2 fumbles on, I don't know if it was back-to-back possessions or fumble, touchdown, fumble, possession. But there was very costly fumbles because they were, I think, both in Rhein territory.
Yeah, that'll do it to you. Do it to you. I mean, I will give some credit to Rhein's defense as far as, they did exactly what Tanner and I suggested about. They kept Glenn Tunga in front of them at all times. Only problem was then Jadrian Clark was like, oh yeah, by the way, I was last year's championship MVP. I can do that again.
Yeah. 343 for 4. But a pick is very good.
Yeah.
But the one pick somehow still turned into 2 points for their own team.
Yeah, that interception, I mean, I've heard it explained, and I still don't understand how it was the safety.
Our entire Twitter feed and the entire Reddit page is like, what happened?
Yeah, so, but yeah, it was one of those games of just, I don't think that the Rhein Fire is 31 points better than Vienna on any given Sunday. but it was one of those games. I think that having been there and having won it recently with Rhein, I mean, I know that Vienna has also won, but they've had, there's a lot of turnover every year with these rosters. It's not the same guys through and through. That, there was a lot of carryover though from that Rhein team from last year, and so I do think that experience goes a long way. Because I mean, they came out the gate just firing.
Yeah.
So, I think that goes a long way. I mean, 23 points in the second quarter, granted, again, that weird safety. 3 touchdowns in the second quarter is really the big difference in this game.
With that weird safety, though, caused a 9-point swing because they got the 2 points and they no defense. There was no defense in the first half, really. Every time they had the ball, anyone scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
So Vienna punted and they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. And so instead of it being what I think it was like 21-13 at the time, and then it went to 23-13, and then to what is that 30-13 within like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And
just like a disastrous little.
And there was a huge return on that pick down to like I think the Vienna's 45. So I'm assuming they would have went 55 yards to score a touchdown, which would have put it at a 1-point game unless they went for 2 to tie it up. So like obviously we'll never know what would happen if they didn't call that play the way they did, but they are definitely like you said, they are definitely not 31 points.
Yeah, and just we had so many weeks in a row of like really good, close playoff football that it was kind of anticlimactic a little bit, here towards the end of like I was really hoping for, like a 28-24 bloodbath of a game where, whichever team it was that won, it was like they did it on the last drive kind of deal, and we didn't quite get that.
Well, this was also a weird thing. This game really reminded me of like an NFL style of game, but not in a good way. There were 23 confirmed penalties. There was at one point, every other play I think had a penalty, and it was for the dumbest like holding call or just something stupid.
Which is interesting because the Elf hasn't really called a lot of penalties this year. So why on the biggest stage in the biggest game?
Why would you do that?
The flags start flying. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I did see one conspiracy. They debunked it pretty quick to an extent that they're like, it was an all German officiating crew, and Germans don't like Austrian sports clubs. And so in the beginning of the game, it was just flag on flag on flag, and people were like, "It's because they're German." And then someone was like, "Well, 2 of them are Norwegian." It was like out of the 5, 2 were not German. But
I did see a post about that the ELF is very German centric, and with that event, it was very much like it's still, even though they're trying to cultivate that, this is the European League, we're trying to prove who's the best in Europe. It still feels almost like this is the German league, and these are the top
they've got
German
7
teams.
German teams, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're promoting the European League, like all their announcements were in German. The commissioner during like the hype party on Saturday or whatever said it was. I'm trying to find it again, but he was talking about how it was like the German championship, basically.
The whole broadcast was in German, right?
Yeah. Well, the commentator was in English, at least for the Game Pass, but that was about it the whole time.
I mean, I understand why they have to do it, just because, at the end of the day, majority of their fan base is German. That's why they have 6 or 7 German
The league
teams.
they have. Yep.
Yeah, you gotta appease the crowd, but
do it in both.
Yeah, there's a balancing act that you have to do as far as making sure that you're still bringing along all the other folks on the ride. Because you don't want it to come off as the German Football League. You want it to come off as the European League of Football.
And that's the thing, just with the way Europe works, it's maybe more people should speak German, but outside of, Germany and Austria, those countries, maybe Western France probably speaks a good amount of German, same with Switzerland, stuff like that. I'm gonna try to not be too ignorant here, but majority if the majority of Europeans know a second or third language, and majority of them it's English. So if you're trying to market it as a European league, you probably want to pick. You probably want to still have everything in English to an extent, just because that's not going to alienate any of your audience. Because I can easily see, a lot of French people speaking German. I could see a lot of, Helvetic fans speaking German. I could see situations like that. I don't see a lot of Madrid fans speaking German or Milan fans. Yeah, they're not speaking German at all, but they probably know a good amount of English.
I mean, every European country I have visited, pretty much everybody knew English.
Yeah, English is not just. It sounds annoying because we're all American and we're like, oh, America, blah, blah, blah. But it's every country does know English. They could do stuff in 2 languages or 3 languages. But apparently they didn't even mention Paris or Madrid at all during the weekend. And Madrid, first-year team, made the playoffs, and Paris was in the semifinals.
Interesting.
Yeah, apparently, Azume, the commissioner, was only talking about Germany and no other country. So people were kind of disliked how German-centric the championship game was for it to be an international league. But we've all made points on why it is.
Yeah. Again, it's growing pains. They'll get there when they get there.
Exactly.
Aside from the championship game, there are going to be some expansions. Danny, you've been the one who's really been going back and forth with folks. So I will open the floor for you to do your journalism thing, big fella.
Expansion as in 18 teams expansion.
Woo! We're getting a new one?
We are. We've hinted about it a couple times on the podcast. The Nordic team, multiple countries.
You're telling me that Copenhagen's going to get that team finally?
Copenhagen is getting a team.
Let's go.
The Nordic Storm.
The Nordic Storm.
Tanner, I know, is not a big fan of the logo. Said it looked like an IT startup.
I still haven't seen the logo. I'm going to be honest.
The more I stare at it, the little better it gets. I'm hoping they just don't use they just do the storm on the helmet and no typeface. If they do a typeface, it's going to look a little rough.
Ooh, if I type in Nordic Storm football, one of the first things that comes up is our boy Jamal Clay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Look like.
What the heck just happened?
I haven't seen it yet.
I don't know. It booted you up.
Weird. But
oh, that's ugly.
Yeah, it
Jesus, that is hideous. Oh no, sweetie, what are you doing?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I'm going to break it down real quick on why people think they are called the Storm and not another team more Nordic related. So obviously everyone's first thought when you say Nordic, Vikings. You can't do that. It's taken.
Yes.
All right. What's more generic than a Viking? A Raider? Taken. What about how their victims saw the Vikings? A Sea Devil? Nope, not possible. Similar but less aggressive. Seaman?
More aggressive, arguably.
Way more aggressive. Borderline sexual harassment.
Yeah.
All right, what were the boats called that Vikings used?
Canoes? No.
The long-headed boat. It was a dragon.
Was it
Can't
really?
do that. Yeah. Vikings burned down privileges or pilgrimages. You can't do fire. You can't do kings because there was another king. You can't really do. You could do Odin, but there is a raven, and someone was saying Raven and Odin is kind of tied together somehow. I don't understand that one.
Dude, I would have just called them the Nordics. Honestly, being Nordic in and of itself is so fucking terrifying. Like the Vikings back then, brother. That's all the mascot you need. And then whenever they whoop up on Vienna, they're gonna be like, "Look, we're the real Vikings because we're the Nordics."
They should just change whoever wins. They should play once a year, and whoever wins, they just have to swap names.
Yeah,
that's like a title.
that won't be terrible at all, you know.
No, maybe not a name. They should transfer like a trophy, like how college bowl game or like college rivalries have like a trophy. Like just trade a Viking trophy back and forth.
What about, couldn't they use like, I know Vikings were big into axes. Couldn't they be like the Axemen or,
Nordic barbarians. Like
barbarians. The Conquerors. That sounds a little bit colonizer-y, but still, they could be the Conquerors.
I mean, they did,
I mean, all of Europe did at some point or another.
No, but
besides the Irish.
People are already wanting them to play Stuttgart, so it can be called the Storm Surge, like the game.
I don't hate the name Storm.
No, I like the name of Storm.
I hate the logo.
Yeah, the logo is a little rough.
You guys ever play Portal?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you remember the logo from like the big company in Portal? What is it, Aperture or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
It looks like that. Looks like that logo.
It looks like I just don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't like it. That's what it looks like. It just looks like something I don't like.
Someone was complaining that we got a light blue team in the league. And I was like, there's
being light blue is totally fine.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, there's already blue teams in the league. I was like, there's no light blue.
Yeah, no, that color blue is totally fine. I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, they're like green, yellow, or orange. And I was like,
I mean,
we already have
basically just green. Describe the Barcelona Dragons.
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't even think about that when reading the cap. Yeah,
I guess there's orange and some red. And that is exactly them. But there's also a couple other rumors, Danny, that you've been cultivating, that you've been talking to folks about. What?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say those ones.
I mean, we're not getting paid by the ELF, so
it's like probably like 12 people that listen to us for the ELF anyway. So
yeah, so screw it. Say it.
Check your phone, boys. Look at that logo.
No, yeah. Just an Aperture logo.
Yeah, it looks the exact fucking same. Like,
but there's rumors of Edwards leaving Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Might be going a little west, and I mean all the way west.
I was gonna say, because there's only one team that's more west than them.
So there's rumors about that. There's rumors about what's happening in Berlin. Berlin might have a tough year coming up.
Yeah. Berlin's going to be losing some big names.
Yeah,
including a current reigning Defensive Player of the Year.
Oof. Nothing is obviously confirmed because we're all just speculating. Because
it's all speculation. We're not real journalists.
No, but one team that I do want to make changes is the Vikings secondary. I want both American DBs gone.
You said, bro, Jadrian put up Madden numbers against us.
Xavier Edwards looked like he was playing scared. He was not trying to tackle anyone. All he would do is jump into them. Literally, he would leap and just like headbutt them to try to tackle.
That's also why he's no longer in the. Oh no, he's not the former NFL guy.
No, he's not. Cole Coleman, he would actually rap, but he just got burnt. That's
why he's not in the
NFL. But usually you would have a safety back there, but Xavier Edwards just didn't want to play the game apparently. But yeah, I want both of them gone. Bring at least back Nichols and find someone new that will actually play football when it matters.
Fair enough.
But I am really excited about not the rebuild, but the build of the Storm. I am so curious who they're going to take as their quarterback.
Oh, they're taking me, brother, all day.
What?
I like just the awkward silence afterwards. Everyone's just like, "Shut the fuck up, Jordan."
I just don't want to break your dreams. You can still apply. I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, I'm like 1% Nordic. Okay, I'm like 1% Nordic.
I forgot to mention about the Nordic Storm. Danish and Swedish players count as homegrown.
That's good for them. I'm glad.
So they don't just have one country; they have a couple countries.
And man, Nordic people are naturally big people.
They're going to have a good offensive line.
Yeah, and probably a good defensive line as well.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to have massive humans.
I am curious why Norway and Finland aren't included if they're going to do those two countries, but I wonder if that means we'll get a Norwegian and a Finnish team in the future.
At some point?
Maybe? The Finnish players I've heard are very good. We've seen them play. There's a lot of good Finnish players currently in the ELF. But I'll be curious to see if Team 1920 or 22 to 24 is another Nordic team.
I do like that.
At one point, they got to bring back the Scottish Claymores, and they have to get London a team. So
hold on. So we're at 18. So we have what, 5 spots or 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6 spots open. Math is hard
because they're trying to get to 24, right? That's their goal.
Yeah. Who you guys filling in these last 6 teams?
Again, London has to get a team at some
point. London, if they can figure it out.
Way too many NFL games in London not to have a team.
It will be very expensive to run, but you need a London.
You got to get it done. You would have an immediate fan base. There are so many Americans that would start rooting for that team. I know you've been big into the Scottish Claymores. I don't know if that one's going to happen though.
That's just because their logo was cool.
This is a long shot, and also there's a lot of conflict with this particular country, but would love to see it. I'd love to see a Russian team, to be quite honest.
I mean, honestly, like, not a horrible idea, but I don't think
right now.
As far as geopolitical stuff is concerned, awful decision. But if we're talking about simply like, I would love to see some Russian linebackers because it would be some of the dirtiest tackling you will ever see in your lifetime, and I want that.
That's fair.
So yeah, give me a Moscow or St. Petersburg team. I want it.
But I want another team in Paris.
In
Paris is so big only to have one team.
You mean France?
Yes.
Fucking.
All right, I'm trying to find something while talking, and I'm looking at the word Paris.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get the Istanbul Rams back, but they definitely need to be ran better.
Yeah, you could bring back both the folded teams with better ownership.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have a Greek team.
I don't know if they'd have a good enough fan base with how spread out they are.
I mean, they go hard for basketball, so
they were saying, what's it called? When we were talking to Bresington, he said that if they're going the Nordic route, they could always go like a Balkan route or a Slavic route if they needed to. So I don't know how a Balkan team would function because those countries hate each other so much that I don't know if you can get a bunch of Croats and Serbs and Albanians together on a team. I feel like that's just asking for disaster, but
if you could get them to make it work,
that'd be pretty good.
I'm just saying they some of the best white athletes in the world over there.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I could see like Helsinki getting a team in a couple years to cover that Finland and my brain is fried. What's the other Nordic country that they could siphon from? Finland and Norway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they could take the Baltic countries, like Estonia and Lithuania. And
I think
that could be the Russian team then.
Okay.
Those countries, dude, you underestimate how small those countries are. They might have like less people than Atlanta does.
Oh no, because I had to do a project in I think it was middle school over Lithuania as a country. There's more people in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex than there are in all of Lithuania. So
yeah, that makes sense. That adds up.
Yeah, so you would have to do Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia all together as one, and then also be like, yeah, y'all can pull Russian players too, and then that way we can avoid the whole political conflict.
True.
Boom.
But before we get too political, I want the Amsterdam Admirals back. Give me that orange and blue.
Dog, if there were an I would jump ship immediately because I love Amsterdam.
Refine their old logo. Be beautiful.
I would donate like $2,500 just so I can say that I'm like a 0.1% owner of the team.
Yeah, but like Their logo, could use a little updating. I just looked at it again. At least their typeface. You could keep the shield. Like, that'd be fine.
Was this they were an NFL Europe team.
Yeah, they're an NFL Europe team.
They got the Florida Gator colors.
Yeah, give me a little blue, green, and orange.
I don't know where that blue comes from because ain't none blue about the water surrounding Amsterdam, but that's fine. That is some brown water. It's a good time though. It's a real good time.
Wouldn't know.
No, wow.
It comes from the old flag, apparently.
Danny, you've been to Amsterdam, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But apparently the orange and blue come from the old Dutch flag, which was orange, blue, and white, or orange, white, and blue, and not red, white, and blue. So yeah.
I also just love how people from the Netherlands say the Netherlands in their own tongue. It's in Nederlanden. Something about that just makes me giggle every time.
Is Dutch the language that has like the really goofy words in it? Is that what people say? Like the
Dutch and German are very similar, not completely, but they're pretty close.
Dutch does have some goofy ass words, though.
Okay. That is true.
I know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was like the prime minister or something like that. Yeah, put out a tweet, and it sounded like it came straight out of like a reggae song. It was or like Jar Jar Binks was talking. Yeah, that's them.
Sorry, anybody.
We are derailing so bad. Is there anything else we want to add in about the ELF before we go?
Do you want to talk about conference realignment with a new team real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'll read off the current conferences. Some people are saying they're going to take the easy route, which will be kind of annoying if they do with the new team. But so the Central and Western both have 6, where Eastern only has 5. The Western Conference is brutal with Rhein, Paris, Madrid, Cologne, Frankfurt, and Hamburg. Central with Stuttgart, Munich, Raiders, Milano, Barcelona, and Helvetic. And then the Eastern, with its only 5, is Vienna, Wrocław, Berlin, and Fehérvár and Prague. So some people are speculating they're just going to throw the Nordic Storm right in the Eastern Conference, which I think would be a huge mistake.
I mean, I feel like you don't want them in the East. You want them in the Central, you said?
I want them to change everything. They already have it so weird. Might as well. And you're young. It will happen. You can change conferences whenever you want.
Yeah, I need them to do it like more accurate to geography. There is no reason for Barcelona to not be in the Western Conference. So it should be, What is that? Madrid, Barcelona, Paris. Looks like Helvetic is probably the next Cologne and Helvetic. That would make 5. And you can choose one of the German teams between Frankfurt, Rhein, and Stuttgart because they're kind of all in that same area. Then you would circle around, do the Central Conference with the other 2 German teams that you didn't choose from that pool. So probably Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Munich, Raiders Tirol, Berlin, Hamburg, and then you would have your Eastern teams. Well, I guess, let me see. Where is this? This is a shitty map that I'm looking at right now. Because it came from Facebook. That's why.
Yeah. But while you think of yours, I'm going to read off mine. I wrote mine down.
Okay.
Because I was prepared. Because I had the idea of it.
Fair enough.
But, so I'm switching up. Some conferences are a little bit the same. So the East, I'm going to bring in Tyrol and Munich. So it'll be Tyrol, Vienna, Munich, Fehérvár, Prague, and Milan. I'm also bringing in Milan.
Okay.
The Central becomes the weak conference unless teams decide to make moves. It goes, we're going to add the Storm to the Central, have the Sea Devils, the Thunder, the Galaxy, the Panthers, and the Fire.
Okay.
So the Central could be like the Eastern Conference with Vienna being head and shoulders above all, unless one of the early ELF teams decides to actually pick it up. And then in the West, we're going Paris, Stuttgart, Helvetic, Cologne, Barcelona, and Spain. So we have 2 very competitive conferences between the East and the West. And depending on what teams do in the Central, you could have 3 out of 3 competitive conferences. Because I would love to see Paris, Stuttgart, and Spain battling for that first and second spot. And if Helvetic and Cologne step it up from last year. And then you got Tyrol, Vienna, and Munich all in the East.
Okay, I have a better map pulled up. I hear what you're saying. I'm going to slightly disagree because
That's fine.
I like geography, and I'm like, just fucking do it geography. So you would
I
have
was trying to get it very close to.
You were close.
Yeah, but
so if we're talking just straight up geography, it would be Copenhagen. Whoops, my recording stopped. Give me a second. Y'all are good. My recording stopped. It would be Copenhagen, Berlin, Wroclaw, Prague, Vienna, and Enthroners. Then you would have Hamburg, Fire, Cologne, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Munich, and then you would have Raiders, Tyrol, Helvetic, Milano, Barcelona, Paris, and Madrid.
Are you cutting it like vertical? Like, is that how you're cutting it? You're just kind of slicing it?
Yeah, I'm literally just like cutting through. There's gonna be overlap with the Central and the West, just because there's so many teams in the fucking Central area because they're all German. So yeah, it's kind of like I kind of just lumped all the German teams together with the exception of like Berlin, and then did some Central after that, or did the West, kind of with the.
I was trying to base it kind of off like a grouping with travel as well, because like you don't want Wroclaw to have to fly to Madrid. That's a very heavy expense that teams don't want to do right now.
Yeah, and that's also why you
did that, but
geographically as well.
Yeah,
saves a lot of money that way. You can use the trains because your trains are awesome.
Yeah. Tanner, do you need a second to look, or you want to spill?
I'm almost there. I think I got all the teams down.
Jamal gave us a shout out in one of his videos, so I'm going to shout him out and you read off his 3 options for it. He said, option 1, throw the Nordic in the west, move Madrid to the central, and Munich to the east. That'd be an easy one to do. Option 2, Vienna central, if it makes sense, and Nordic east, and maybe Stuttgart west, but damn, that's a gauntlet. However, we'd get way more interesting games if Stuttgart went to the west. Or option 3, Nordic east, since the east was down a team.
They really just need to start having some out-of-conference play if they want to make things more interesting. Because, I mean, in any league, there's always going to be the people who are good in your conference, the people who are bad. It doesn't matter if we're talking NFL conferences, doesn't matter if we're talking about collegiate conferences. You're always going to have really good teams and really shitty teams. And if you're wanting to, there's no need to make a gauntlet conference. Just have some out-of-conference play. There's no reason for teams like Vienna, who isn't that far away from a lot of the German teams, to go play a Rhein Fire during the season or a Stuttgart Surge.
Well, it's because they only played 12 games and they have 6 teams per conference, and they have to play their conference teams twice. If you really wanted to get spicy, break it into 6 conferences. 3 teams per conference, they could play anybody they want.
And almost have like full play.
Yeah, they have 4 games they have to play, because it would be their 2 other conference opponents. And then their out-of-conference games can be whatever they want.
Fair. Or you could, just have them instead. I mean, I guess doing just one conference game wouldn't make sense if you had 6 teams.
Where does Helvetic play in Switzerland? Do they play in Zurich or do they play in Bern?
They have 2 stadiums. They play near the French-German border, I believe.
All right. Bern. We're going to put them in the west, and we're going to put Milano in the central. All right, that's all I needed to figure out.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, sorry, I got a notepad up, and if I don't make this look the way it's supposed to, then my brain will break. Okay, so for the west, I got Rhein, Paris, Madrid, Cologne, Barcelona, Helvetic, and then the central, I got Munich, Stuttgart, Milano, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Copenhagen. And
Okay.
in the East, I have Tyrol, Vienna, Berlin, Prague, Werder, Wrocław.
Okay, so you're just kind of moving a couple teams around.
I'm pretty much trying to keep things as close together, but it's like actually just entirely geography is what mine is.
No, yeah, that's fair.
Because the most Western German teams are Rhine and Cologne, so I just kept them in the West. And then I took Hamburg out because Hamburg is actually like really close to Copenhagen, so I feel like they should play. I didn't want to break up the Frankfurt Hamburg rivalry, so I kept them in the same. Stuttgart and Munich are close to each other, so I kept them together. Milano's kind of the odd man out, so I just kind of switched them in Helvetic, West and Central, because I kind of wanted to separate them. And I guess if they're playing closer to the France border, then probably Helvetic West and then Milano Central. And also, I just think Helvetic's a more interesting team, so I'd rather them play Madrid. And then East, I wanted both the Vienna teams together. Berlin is super East. And then I wanted to keep the Polish and Hungarian teams together since they're also
Both of the
East.
Austrian teams, you mean?
What did I say first?
The Vienna teams.
Both of the Austrian teams.
I am the only American who hasn't fucked it up yet.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Geography's hard, bro. I want to see someone from Europe point to Connecticut on a map.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of here. I should be better. I actually got a minor in geography while I was in college because I was bored. But hey, I'm actually like really good at African and Asian geography, but somehow I fuck up my European geography, which is weird because I'm white. But
there was one day Tanner came into my room and just pulled up like a fill in the blank thing for like Africa and just like nailed it.
See, my test for whether if I'm too drunk or not is if I can do all 50 states, but I got so good at that now I have to do European countries. I could probably also do South American countries. Africa, for the most part, I got it. Asia, I struggle with, though. Especially once you start getting into, like, your Malaysias and that area over there,
That's fair.
The islands. I struggle with islands.
Are we good with the ELF?
Yeah, we're good with the ELF. Thanks to everybody for checking us out. We've had so much fun covering the ELF this season. Again, I know we talked about it last episode, but truly, we had so much fun, and we'll still cover the ELF even during the off season. Our episodes might be a little bit more infrequent, maybe a couple of weeks go by in between them, but as we hear more rumors and as Zach Edwards finds his way to Madrid, I will also be jumping ship if he does that, and we'll be cheering for Madrid. So we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much, and we love all of our European listeners. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for the support.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.